So good afternoon and welcome to the Leap Day, February 29th, 2024 meeting of the Fitchburg Historical Commission. I'd like to now call this meeting to order. Have a gavel, thank you. Just be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. Ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now. And no one is. And so welcome. Meeting has begun. Present today, we have on my left Ellen DiGeronimo, Charles Sternamolo. To my right, Don Ostrowski and Andy Lepasti, which is a full, all of our members are currently here, so we have a complete meeting here. We also have a couple guests with us. And Joe, thank you for coming, and we'll try to let you, if you have any questions along as we're going ahead, feel free just to speak as if you have questions. I've shown what our agenda is. So first, public comment period. I don't think there's anyone that has public comment at the moment, so we'll move on to item number 2, review and approve minutes for the January 25th, 2024 meeting. I think we all have received copies of that. Any comments or motion to?
I move that we approve the minutes as.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Don.
Any discussion, other comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thanks, Andy, for the good minutes. Number 3, activities for May Preservation Month. This year, we are, as noted at our last meeting, we're planning events for Fitchburg, this being kind of National Preservation Month in May, and at Ellen's suggestion, having some events that kind of feature Fitchburg downtown area in particular, and preservation in Fitchburg as kind of a important piece. Something we haven't done in the recent past, or from my memory, and we've kind of pulled together a coalition of interested parties, including the Historical Society. We've talked with the mayor's office. They're very interested in it. Also other departments in the city, including the Community Development Office, the Economic Development Office, and we're also hoping to get input from other groups in the city, such as the in-town group, and hopefully have the backing of our city councilors, the city at large, and other organizations in the city, and kind of celebrating our heritage, particularly of our downtown area, kind of celebrating the architecture that we still have and retain, and kind of featuring it and making it hopefully with a kind of a grand event that we've scheduled for May 23rd, which is a Thursday, or the next to last Thursday of the month. And we're hoping to have our grand event here in this legislative building, 4 p.m., possibly about an hour-long program with some recognition and illustrations of the things that Fitchburg has done in preserving the culture of the city, and particularly the downtown area. and kind of featuring through perhaps a PowerPoint presentation and inviting the public to attend also and help recognize the importance of preservation for our city. And recognizing projects like City Hall, this council chamber being preserved for the good of the city, just looking across the street, what's happening with the theater block, and up and down street from Morin Square all the way up to River Street and beyond, kind of the positive things that are happening, particularly with the reuse of our great architectural heritage that we have in the city. And even the small businesses that are occupying the storefronts and kind of proliferating on Main Street and doing their great by creating, and reusing these storefronts on the ground floors, and property owners and businesses looking at ways of utilizing their whole buildings for mixed uses, such as offices and housing, et cetera. So we have lots of examples of that, including new housing developments in older structures in Square, and all the way up to the Academy Street school buildings that are actively in process of becoming apartments and artist studios, et cetera. So there's great things happening. So if I can, let me just see if I can bring up another document that we have. See here if I can find it. Just to review this a little bit, and I think one of our guests, Joe, you're with the Cultural Council with the city, and it's great that you're here. And it's something that we've needed to do for a long time, and not collaborated as much as we should. And if this is something that your council and the cultural alliance in the city could be somewhat involved in also, or at least get it on each of our calendars as something that's that we, sure, yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for recognizing me. And it is quite true that we're quite overdue in having a collaboration with the Historical Commission and the Cultural Council. And when we get to the section of the agenda for which I'm speaking, I'll sort of elaborate a bit more on that. But I would love to get our Cultural Alliance and Cultural Council involved in the events in May for what you're trying to do. And I can be the conduit of communication on that. And we have at least 2 more meetings on the Cultural Council to decide how we want to participate in what you're trying to accomplish. So I appreciate your invitation. Thank you.
Good. And I'm trying to, let's see.
You take that agenda off, will the camera show him speaking to? Because it was just showing you.
Okay. Yeah, I've stopped sharing. I'm not sure if the
He's got to speak.
cameras, FATV, if you can figure out how to include other people addressing the audience, that'd be great.
Maybe when his microphone goes, when he
Okay.
sends his microphone, it might show him.
Okay.
You mean Joe has something that he can get?
Hang on
No.
a second here. I wanted to bring up another document here. I want to share screen. Now we have 2 of me.
Hold out teeth.
That's always good.
You can get more work done that way.
We're not getting fully functional here of our technology, but it does work sometimes. let me see if I can get this. And something I could share with you, Joe, also, as we and get my share screen again. Let's get on Zoom. Share screen.
I was just saying that if Joe talks, the microphone will hear his voice and then it'll probably put his picture up.
Oh,
Okay, this is a lot of reading in very small print. But it's kind of carrying on about the Preservation Month, a piece that hopefully we can get and tying into our working with the Cultural Commission. Earlier this month, Ellen and I, this was primarily Ellen's initiative here, and for credit of having or looking for an event like this. Ellen and I organized a meeting with Liz Murphy of Community Development, Mary Jo Bullhart of Economic Development, Megan Donahue of the Redevelopment Authority, and that small group met on the 12th, and this is just kind of a quick review of notes of that particular meeting. But kind of the subtitle for the major event is Celebrate the Importance of Historic Preservation in Fitchburg's Urban Revitalization. And what we hope to do is, we're developing a nearly complete, a multi-page color brochure, fold-out brochure of downtown historic areas in Fitchburg. And again, all the way from Warren Square up through the Upper Common, and a nice kind of overview of the history of the city and of the heritage of the multiple spots kind of along and adjacent to Main Street and the great architectural and other treasures that are found. A lot of it is National Register historic districts that people may not recognize, but there are two major ones on the route, and there's two more major ones that are in the process of application for National Register historic recognition. There's also our local historic district, which is the Monument Park Local Historic District. And anyhow, we hope to launch and have multiple copies of this brochure available for the general public in Fitchburg. So that's going to be a release date for that, and we're getting kind of final edits to this. It's turning out to be a great brochure that the city can use along with the Cultural Alliance and Cultural Council to have and to help distribute to our citizens and visitors to the community, et cetera. So, one of the launches, or things that we will be doing at that during that month, is launching this brochure release. We're also talked about perhaps during the month having several smaller preservation-oriented events prior to the main event on the 23rd, perhaps including Pete Capodigli's Rock Walk, Maze Rock Walk, and being part of that month's particular events. Resources available for restoration and preservation. There are a lot of documents that homeowners and business and property owners could use for guidelines for preservation. There's also resources for economic development, particularly in the downtown areas. That our economic development department has a lot of information on that, and we'll have that available, and other resources for preservation and examples of perhaps what other communities have done. Again, the item number 4 is that main event. And here in this chamber, kind of recognizing things in the past, since we haven't done this for a while, the past decade or so, which would include a lot of the preservation work that it's done all the way from New View, doing its redo of the safety fund building and its great apartments and their presence on Main Street, and Moran Square apartments, the City Hall, things that are happening up and down Main Street, including the yarn mill and hopefully the Ivor Johnson complex over River Street, et cetera. So lots of things in the works, and hoping to kind of recognize that. Obviously getting it on city calendar, getting press coverage from FATV, perhaps the local paper, local papers and other pieces. And so getting input from your groups also could help in collaborating.
Absolutely.
This particular planning group is meeting again this Monday at 1 p.m. At the North Meeting Room in City Hall. And, public certainly invited to help with that. If that's something, Joe, you or any of your other council members or would like to be join us in, that would be great.
Sure. You said that meeting is on Monday at 1 p.m. Is it at City Hall?
It's at City Hall, 3rd floor, North Meeting Room. And
it's to talk about item number 6, or is it more broader than the advertising?
as far as it's pretty much a preservation month
May celebration.
planning session for the May session.
Oh, okay.
So, but if you have other things, it'd be kind of good to tie in with it, or if you have other activities that are happening in May, that would be good to know also. So we're kind of coordinating and not crossing things. So that'd be obviously a good time to coordinate our calendars and things like that.
Okay. I'll see what I can coordinate for participation on that. I'll see what I can coordinate for participation on that.
Okay.
I personally work during the day on Monday, so unless I get a late lunch, it might not be likely that I will come, but I'll do my best to see if there's others that are available on any of the organizations I'm involved in.
That would be great.
Yeah, happy to do it.
And I'll try to remember, I can send you a copy of these kind of last meeting minutes that will be essentially our agenda kind of going forward.
That'd be great.
Talked about.
Thank you.
There'll be Susan DeVar will be there, hopefully, and Monique with In Town said she hopes to be there also.
Great.
So it's going to be an expanded meeting, and hopefully get lots of ideas from lots of people on how we can help coordinate this and things in the future also. So it's good that we're all kind of finding our.
That's how we build communities. We collaborate, right?
Yep. That's
Yep. I love it. Thank you.
Keith, can you email us a copy of those notes?
Yes.
Okay.
I will email everybody on that. And thought maybe I had, but I think I probably didn't. So let me just get a writing instrument.
Want to borrow a pencil?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Great, and we'll do that. Along with kind of this releasing of the brochure and some kind of recognition of properties up and down Main Street that have been doing some great things and kind of re-urbanizing our downtown, and we can see the difference a lot of this has been making, and it's great to see. We also are starting a project that's kind of a collaboration with the Historical Society that is really the archive of much or just about all of our history. And we are working to create an inventory of kind of all the existing buildings up and down Main Street and in kind of the downtown area. Again, an idea and thought that's come up from Ellen, and hope we can get this done. And I've asked Andy Lepasti to kind of help organize this as he works at the Historical Society or volunteers there, and to help create this kind of database of each of the properties as we look at them. A lot of them are some great things are happening with them, with some before and after, or then and now photographs of the buildings. And we, the Historical Society and the city's archives have some great images of our downtown, earlier pictures of our buildings, and really quite interesting to the general public, and in particular to each property owner, kind of seeing images of their building in the past. And also, the Historical Society has a great archive of histories of ownership and other images and history of lots of parts of our city, including individual buildings. And we have the city's inventory, historic inventory for the Mass Historical Commission's archive, which is called MACRIS. It has a great inventory of these buildings, and including this in kind of a database that could either be printed out or accessed by the public, being able to see by search by address of our city buildings, and being able to see the then and now images and access the histories of those individual properties. So this could be a great archive for just the curious. Many of us are looking as we look at our downtown, and also a great resource for property owners or potential property owners to be able to see and understand the heritage of all of these many, many buildings and properties that we have on Main Street in the downtown area. So we're starting this off, and we hope to have some of this completed by May, and we'll obviously continue working on that and kind of announcing it's happening to the general public during the May ceremonies also. So thanks, Andy, for volunteering to help put that database together. And we're off and running with that, and trying to find out the best ways of creating an accessible database with all this rich information and photography and history, well-documented history of many of the properties that we see every day. Let's see, and so we will be meeting this Monday, May 4th, at 1 p.m. at the 3rd floor, City Hall North Meeting Room. Thank you. Any other comments on the May events? Or you're all welcome to kind of join the planning meeting on Monday. If you would like, I'll send these minutes out to everybody also. I suspect that the mayor will be there, or someone from her staff also, and they I think we'll be backing this as a great event for the city also. Okay.
You said Monday, May 4th. Did you mean to say March 4th?
March 4th, excuse me, thank you. This coming Monday, March 4th. Okay, moving on to item number 5, and coordination of May and other initiatives with the Cultural Council and Scratch Out Commission, wrote that incorrectly, and the Cultural Alliance. And Joe, if, I think we talked about this some, but if you have any other comments,
Yeah, I actually have a prepared statement, if it's okay if I go through that, just take a few minutes.
sure.
So I'm actually here in the capacity of the president of the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance. I'll kind of get into why as I go through my statement here. But for those of you who aren't familiar with me, I'm a resident of Fitchburg. I serve on the Cultural Council as well today. I am a former chair of the Cultural Council, and as president of the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, I came to resurrect something that I started as chair. In terms of bringing back an effort to have a cultural district in the city. I also serve. I serve in a bunch of capacities. I'm just telling you the ones that I think are relevant to my ask today. And so the other capacity that I serve is I'm a strategic leader with New View Communities in their Steward program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with their Steward program at all, but we've trained over 300 people who are interested in being leaders in some initiative in various areas of focus in the community. One in particular is I would say about a quarter of the population is the art stewards, and that's where I'm pretty engaged with them. In fact, our art stewards are chiefly responsible for obtaining the funds and assisting the Cultural Alliance and opening up the Main Street Studios building right across the street, the old Fidelity Bank building. And so, I work with a bunch of people that are just making a difference in the city and very motivated, and they want this to continue. And part of my ask today is for your assistance to kind of jump on board and support us in some way. More officially, I'm here to ask for your support of the effort to bring a cultural district into the city of Fitchburg. And I'm just going to lower this so I can see my paper. Here we go. Cultural districts in Massachusetts were launched in 2011 by an act of the state legislature and administered through the Mass Cultural Council. These districts serve a few important purposes. First is economic growth. Cultural districts drive economic growth by supporting arts, humanities, and science organizations. They attract tourists and entrepreneurs, contributing to the local economy and expanding the tax base for communities. Second, they have a distinctive local character. By strengthening the influence of distinctive local character, cultural districts enhance the identity and uniqueness of each community. They celebrate local heritage, traditions, and artistic expressions. And third, quality of life. Cultural districts improve the quality of life for families across Massachusetts. Access to the cultural activities, events, and creative spaces enriches the lives of residents and visitors alike. In summary, these districts play a vital role in fostering creativity, promoting tourism, and enhancing community well-being. In 2013, the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, this was prior to my service there, they led an effort to apply for a cultural district designation in Fitchburg. In fact, Ellen was one of the participants in putting that application together. The proposed district was pretty much comprised of all of the downtown area at the time. They did that with partnerships, including the City of Fitchburg, Fitchburg Art Museum, Fitchburg State University, Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority, the Historical Society, and several other organizations, businesses, and individuals to bring the cultural district to the city. The Mass Cultural Council held back their granting of a cultural district due to some of the criteria being unmet and other criteria not far enough along to qualify. In early 2020, when I was chair of the Fitchburg Cultural Council, efforts were underway to resubmit the application. Due to the pandemic, the matter ended up being changed. Now in 2024, the city has progressed even further in its readiness to achieve approval, and I'm seeking the Historical Commission's support of the city's effort to reapply for a cultural district designation. Some of you may recall Mayor Squalia's plan to bring a cultural district to the city during her inaugural address. I believe support from the Historical Commission will be a welcome addition to that effort. The Cultural Alliance Board has already made a similar commitment of support and is providing application details to the city for further consideration, since the Cultural Alliance maintained most of the materials and the submission for the last application. A vote of support today is not a commitment to take on all the work. It is simply a gesture of support for the effort. This is a long application process that will involve many businesses, organizations, and individuals, as well as lots of public input to define and execute on a new application. Having seven historical districts in Fitchburg, is that right? Is that what you have? Or is it five?
We have six
We have six?
downtown
Okay,
historic districts.
okay. So my numbers are a little off. So I did note here that that number of historical districts in Fitchburg, I suspect the process may be familiar to those of you who helped to create those in terms of applying and getting the grant. So with that, I'm asking again for the Fitchburg Historical Commission to support the efforts to bring a cultural district to the city of Fitchburg. I'm here to help answer any questions, collect feedback, advice, or counsel as we embark on this journey together. I want to thank you for your time, but there were a few other points I wanted to throw in here after the discussion that the chair was sharing with us earlier, was that for the cultural district, as well as with the Cultural Alliance, the Cultural Council, we do have public input meetings, and the Art Week may be a good opportunity for us to incorporate some public input on those realms as well, and gather more people into your events. And in terms of the collection of building assets in the downtown, I have a related effort already underway, not specific to downtown buildings per se, but for years now, through the Steward program, I have been conducting what we will call community asset training for the participants. And during the course of that time, I've been able to collect over 400 community assets, and that includes buildings and people and stories and institutions and all kinds of other things. So I do have a wealth of information that I'm happy to share with you, Andy, or with the commission itself to help you achieve your goals in that. And the third thing is, before I leave, I want to make sure I give you my card so you have a way of emailing me the information that we'll be covering on Monday. So
That's terrific, Joe.
yeah, thank you.
And we apologize for not coordinating these things earlier, and both of our organizations, perhaps.
No apology
of
needed.
our groups.
We're all busy. We work in different circles.
Yeah, and it's we're certainly aware of things that you're doing and the depths of the things. I'm personally not aware of all the things that you have been doing, and it sounds great. I think it's absolutely the partnership certainly reinforce our efforts, because a lot of the same goals and outcomes is obviously what we're looking toward. So any way that we can help work with what your goals are, and we'd be happy to work with that. So, and perhaps coordinating with Andy as far as your archives of information, feel free to get in contact with us on that. We'll perhaps next time we can review our database that we just started talking about, and how we do that. I'd certainly like to have your input on that also.
Yeah, great. I'm happy to assist.
Yeah.
I was just rehashing what I was saying earlier. I neglected to mention that the Cultural Council also voted unanimously to support the effort. So just to add on that, the support is building, and we have other organizations in town. In town is obviously going to be involved, and Young Coffee Network, they've actually, with the Fitchburg Creative Cities partnership, has really started building the foundation for us to move this thing forward even faster.
Yeah. And what I'm going to perhaps address as new business, and I think you're quite aware of the expo that's happening next Thursday, I believe.
Yes. The Community Club Expo at the Y.
Yes. And maybe we can just mention that now, because I believe you're quite involved in that. And it's really kind of a parallel to what we're just talking about now. Maybe you could give just a quick explanation of what the expo is next week.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Happy to do that. I didn't bring the flyer with me, so I don't remember the date and time specifically for when the event is. If you have that, it'd be great for you to share after I give my my spiel about the event. The goal of the event is for the all the different organizations and clubs and commissions and councils in every area focused within our community have an opportunity to come to the YMCA, set up a table, and be available to the public. We all work independently of each other, and we collaborate here and there on different things. This is one event where every organization that is involved in doing anything relevant to building community in the city of Fitchburg, they're invited to come to this event, and it's almost like a recruiting event. You know, we're inviting the public to come down and see what's up. This is what goes on here in the city, and there's such a varied group of various things happening out there that there's probably something for everybody. If you're looking to get involved in anything, you'll probably find something at the Community Club Expo at the Y next week.
Terrific. I did find it. I think
There it is. Yep.
And
That's on March 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. And the
so the
Y is on Wall Street.
week from today, 5 to 7 p.m. Up the street at the YMCA building.
Yes.
And it's, yeah, I'm sure your organizations will probably be there.
We'll definitely be there.
And as members kind of think about this, I just received a copy of this yesterday, I think, from a mail out from the mayor's office, saying that perhaps, you know, as one of the city commissions and boards and so forth, that we might want to just man a table there as kind of representatives and perhaps have some information. This is kind of things for us as members to think about, and if anyone could be interested or perhaps available to sit at a table and obviously walk around and coordinate with all the other people that are there that are kind of doing the same thing. I believe that's part of the intent of it, also kind of sharing across people that are interested in the city from all different aspects of life in the city, and obviously providing our outlet for and kind of our commission's duty as kind of preserving the heritage of, helping to preserve the heritage of the city. And I'm sure that works in strongly with kind of lots of other things that are happening, including the Arts Council, et cetera. So all important parts. So maybe be thinking this, I'll kind of bring it up at the end of the meeting, and
Would it be
if there's
possible
any
to
I will.
volunteers to,
I will happily do that.
have sample of the brochure, the Historic District's brochure for that?
yep.
Because we talk about it,
Yeah,
but it is,
I'm going to send you a copy of the brochure also.
Okay.
Which is a draft copy. It's got some typos and things in it here, but just so you're kind of aware of it. And we've been talking about these historic districts and areas that are up and down Main Street. And, so you can take a look at that, which we hope to be publishing in May. So I'll send you a copy later.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ellen has a question.
Yeah. Do you suppose we could have a copy of the map in the brochure
Blown up.
on a poster board?
Yeah.
And if you think that's a good idea, I'll make every effort to get it together if you supply me with the material.
So
Yeah, I think the idea of cultural district is great. That's really what Fitchburg needs. And the fact that it was turned down with 10, 11 years ago,
Why would they turn it down?
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
But why would they turn it down?
It was a pretty long application, and it took me about 4 hours to read all the reasons. Not because there were that many, it's just because of so many things were looked at. I guess to summarize, we hadn't fully progressed economically, to achieve that level. We didn't have enough businesses already in town. Our arts and culture scene wasn't as wasn't as, I don't know, what would you say, like concise,
Well,
synchronized or something?
no, I think we really hadn't done a good job of letting everybody know that we existed.
Yeah.
And it was hard without an address. We had thought that when we opened Rollstone Studios, that would really help us. But one of the, and I mean, I'm not casting a spur, yeah, I can't remember the word I was going to use. We weren't well coordinated with the city. I mean, the planning department was wonderful in helping us, but as you might know, it's hard to cover all bases because everybody on the Alliance was a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to be able to say now that Joe's president of the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, and their address is right across the street in the former Fidelity Bank building. Mm-hmm. And that'll make a difference. It will show a real commitment, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And we didn't have the Creative Cities partnership that we have today as well. And the landscape of the downtown has changed in that we have more businesses opening and present than we had in the past. We do more events that are focused in the downtown area as well, culturally related events. I know that I didn't actually count the numbers, but there were several grant approvals that we had at the Cultural Council for events happening downtown, from Civic Days to the Riverfront Music Festival to the Blacksmith Festival to I think we funded something on Mill Street. We've done breakdancing competitions. Just so many things that have happened downtown that and it continues to grow every year. To give you a little perspective, when I started in 2016 on the Cultural Council, we were averaging, I think, about 40-ish applications, and we're now getting close to 70 from different organizations and people who are looking to bring arts and culturally related events into the city. So it's pretty heartwarming to see how the growth has happened over the years.
Hey, Joe,
Yes.
Who's the group that you have to apply to, or
It's the Mass Cultural Council.
Mass Cultural Council?
Yeah, and so the city itself has to apply, and I've already been speaking with Liz Murphy on that in the mayor's office, and they're definitely interested in participating, and they're interested in partnering with any organizations that want to help, because it is definitely not something you hand to one person and say, run with it. The application, if I remember, the application was probably about 20 pages long, and it really scrutinizes every single detail of city life in our area of focus. And so, and with the public input meetings, we'll have to have at least one or two of those, maybe more. I would like to do as many as we possibly can and insert them in every possible event that we can have in the city between now and the time we submit the application, because I think the public's input is going to be paramount in really how we should define what that district is.
One thing, in case I forget, we have a beautiful brochure that recognizes the H.M. Francis buildings, and most of them are downtown. So I think it's in need of reprinting, but I'll follow up on that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, following up on H.M. Francis, the house on Arlington Street was for sale. The sale is now pending, and
Bullocks?
no, that was sold some time ago. This is 15 Arlington Street. It's the one next to the Bullock's house.
Oh, I love that house.
It's a Victorian,
Yes.
and as I understand, the new owners intend to maintain it, preserve it. They're not going to rent it out or demolish it or anything, which was a great relief to me, because I walk by that house almost every day.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, that is good news. But getting back to the Cultural Alliance, yes, I think I speak for the other commission members, we really want to coordinate with you. And one of the things that we've talked about is an oral history project, and tying in with there are filmmakers in Pittsburgh do documentary film, and not particularly historically oriented, but it would be, I think, if we could get that focused on some kind of documentary about the history of Fitchburg, and tie it in with interviews with longtime residents of Fitchburg, and they can talk about the changes that they've seen. I think that would be really valuable.
Yeah, if there's a filmmaker that you know of that's interested, there's opportunities for grant funds to help make that happen.
The other thing, the Cultural Alliance, you're responsible for the kiosk at Mill Street, the signage. Is that right?
We funded it.
You funded it.
Yeah, and it's managed by technically by the city, but right now the chair of the cultural council is the one who maintains the posts that we put up on the board.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it was really a great project. She wanted to put, it was actually, I don't know if you know Audrey from Curious Escape Rooms. It was her idea, and she wanted to propose 3 of them in the downtown in the whole stretch. But because of funding limitations and city availability to do the installation, we were only able to get funding for 1.
Well, we've been involved, some of us more than others, of the Twin Cities Rail Trail. And
What a great
and that's
project
coming
that is.
out right at the train station. And one of the questions is signage. If people coming into Fitchburg, they see the Dunkin' Donuts, but they have no information about the rest of Main Street.
Right.
And if there is, if it comes up for question of where to put another kiosk, I think that might be a very good place to put it.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
So I just wanted to get that on the record.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it kind of the coordination with this is something that obviously your groups are very interested in also, like the rail trail and how it's going to be integrated as part of the assets of the city, and already is. And we've been working with community development a little bit because there was some question about historic areas, that bridges and stuff, that the crossing the river that right along the trail, we got kind of asked if there were any comments on these things. We got involved with helping to do some of the editing on the signage. We shouldn't be the only ones involved in this too. There's certainly lots of other input from other organizations in the city also. It would be fun to kind of share that, which Don just mentioned, kind of our initiatives that we've thought on that. And the more people involved that can kind of understand, or give input to it, the richer the experience these things will be, and kind of more heads together on it. Certainly is good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the first artist to come looking for a grant to do something artsy with the rail trail somewhere, in some way. And I think that would garner a lot of support.
Good. This is, we'd mentioned it before, and I realized I had my office. I brought my briefcase with me, so, of folders and things, but this is maybe I can show it on the screen also. This is our draft copy of the brochure. It's meant to kind of fit into a slot in the library, city hall, cultural council, and Alliance across.
Yeah, we have a brochure rack at our studio
And
building. Yeah,
anywhere, and get this into the hands of people as kind of a cult, recognizing it. this part of the cultural assets, it will have a brief explanation of what the historic areas are. It's hard.
Yeah, Zoom,
Focus on
Zoom
this.
blurs out
At the
anything.
kind of middle panel, a brief history of Fitchburg from indigenous people to the present. And then it opens up into a map that Ellen had mentioned. It's going to show up out of focus. One of the screens is picking it up. Anyhow, that kind of shows all the way from Warren Square up Main Street in the various historic areas, and including the H.M. Francis overlay survey of multiple buildings in the downtown area. In it, and then 6 panels that kind of represents explanations of the 6 different historic areas that are included on the map area. So kind of a
Very
brief
nice.
explanation of those. This, and then along with the more detailed individual building database that we're hoping to pull together that will be searchable, from our website in the city and probably other places in library, historical society, et cetera. Individual property owners or real estate agent can look up X number Main Street or Pritchard Street or something. And so this is an old building. I wonder what, what some of the heritage and history of this is. And we all love to hear those things, and things become much more meaningful when you understand some of the depth of it's like meeting a person and saying, "That's an interesting person," but you start understanding their personalities and their knowledge base, and all of a sudden there's this connection with our community that we
Agreed.
become so much richer. Exactly what your council was doing. So. If you want to take a look at this, I don't know if Chris, if you want to take a look at it also. This is kind of the only copy we have, but it gives kind of an idea of what we've been working on
Where
for.
did you get that?
Hmm?
I've seen the PDF of that, but I never knew that you got that printed out.
Yeah, and we have some other
Recently.
kind of,
Who printed it?
that one. Thank you, Joe. That one I got as a freebie from Staples when I went to get a quote on printing.
Oh, okay.
And the city, it's 8.5 by 11 in kind of its rough form. Let's see if I
It looks nice.
yeah, it's turning out fairly decent. Do I have the other? Here's some not so good copies of it here, but you're welcome to hang on to that one.
I mean, I've read it online.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it in person yet.
So it's a full size is 11 by 17. It's a half fold, then a trifold after that. So there's lots of room for lots of information. I think a nice asset. Great. I was thinking that also. That here are the things that are happening since your last application. Lots of things, as you know, have happened.
Yes.
The theater block, the artist housing, which was just a dream at that time, I believe, back in 2015 or close to there when the last application went through. City Hall itself went through transformation. It may have been vacant at that time. We were all meeting in the across the street at Boulder Drive and in strange quarters at those times. So a lot has happened since then. I think there's a lot of effort. So again, let us know what we can do to help on that, and I'll send you a draft copy of that later on today.
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can share it with all of your members. And
Okay, I'll do that.
super.
Thank you all for your time and your support. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with you again soon.
Terrific. I'm sure we will, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Joe.
Thank you for arranging it.
Easy.
Yeah, the guy that's here is here for something else. He, the other guy, he's here for something else.
Pardon me?
The gentleman that's here, is here for something else.
He's here just observing.
Are you sure?
I think so. It is, did you want to introduce your guest at all, or?
Yeah, Chris Patinzi, he's a lawyer in Fitchburg, very much involved in the concerns about the city. We've had a number of conversations, and he is considering joining the Historical Commission. And I hope he decides to join, because I think he would be a great asset to our commission. Chris, do you want to say?
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
My name is Chris Patinzi. I live at 43 East Street. I know Don and we've had many conversations about the historical committee almost daily. And I understand some of the concerns. I mean, I think Don and I spoke briefly about the proposed demolition ordinance or something or other.
Demolition delay.
Yeah, exactly. My apologies.
That's okay.
Big difference in demolition ordinance. And so we've spoken about the historic, beautiful nature of Fitchburg. I'm also, I have a lot of friends here in the city. I'm a practicing attorney here in the city. I've spoken with, Jimmy Connors and Chris Walton, two attorneys who have decades of experience in the city, Jim O'Connor and all that stuff about the historic nature of the city. I know Jimmy Connors, member of the school committee, all around gadabout, quite frankly. He's been here forever. And he and I, only people who know Jimmy would laugh. He and I have spoken about Fitchburg at length. In fact, today we were at lunch and a member of the Fae Club. We were discussing historic nature of the water, and we were speaking about how when the water would freeze over, it would look very beautiful, all the reds and yellows and greens and everything like that. I was saying that damn EPA, but here we are. So I'd love to be more involved with this beautiful city. Quite frankly, I've been here since 2017. My daughter and my wife, we all live together here in the city. My daughter goes to school in the city. My wife works from home. We're very involved in the city. And to the extent that I have any contributions to offer, I'd love to put my name forward. So thank you very much.
perfect. Well, welcome. I'm glad you
Welcome.
joined us today.
Thank you.
So what does he have to do now? Does he have to go to the mayor and get an appointment?
Just let us know after you've kind of observed our disorganization as we typically meet. But we have a lot of great ideas and great volunteer members that are, I think we're looking at kind of one goal, and that is we've talked with Joe today, kind of seeing how this, the integration of the various boards and commissions in the city have working together. I think we can help, help what we're all kind of looking for the city. So it's great. So if indeed you'd like to be considered, we'd be happy to
Sure.
pass that on to the mayor, who makes the official recommendation to city council.
Sure.
City council has I believe,
Appointments committee.
appointment committee
Oh, yes.
that takes it up, somewhat in sometimes informal process. But we certainly have vacancies and an opening, having someone with a legal background, attorney's background, is always good to have. There, as all commissions, there are legal matters that come up, and quite often beyond understanding of many of us. And it would be great to have that supplement to our commissions.
I think one of the best things that an attorney can ever do is realize your limitation and then plead to a higher power. So while I was, for instance, taking a look at a proposed demolition delay ordinance, and I think it would be in a next version, be able to send it to the city solicitor and everything like that. So while I'm happy to be an attorney on the commission, I don't know if I can necessarily be the commission's attorney, but I'm happy to provide any support and assistance I can in figuring out these thorny issues and intersection between preserving the historic nature of the city and moving the city forward.
Mhm.
Because that's the biggest, in my mind, that's the biggest thorn between potentially, well, there's a whole host of issues, but
Yep.
Well,
Thank you.
that's an excellent point you make, and yeah, we don't. I am fill the slot of historian, but I'm not the commission's historian.
Yeah.
You know, as our overview of the Monument Park district, it's recommended that we have certain people, certain
Categories.
backgrounds.
okay.
A resident of a historic district, real estate person, historian, what are some of the others?
Historical society. person.
Someone from the Historical Society, yes, exactly. So we don't have the lawyer slot filled. So that's, that would be a extra benefit.
So if it's up to us, you're hired.
Yes, I think you have
I
to,
guess there's a process you have to go through back.
yeah, I think you have
Fill you
to
in on-
supply a resume to the mayor's office.
And Chris, if I could ask you for a personal favor?
Sure.
Would you give this to James?
Oh, Jimmy,
Yeah,
of course I will.
and tell him I miss him. That's all you have to say.
I'm not going to comment any further, but I would be happy to do
Yeah,
it. Jimmy loves his friends, and I would be happy to do it.
yeah.
Thank you.
He's a wonderful young man.
Wonderful man, and he gets better with age.
And I really miss him. I've known him since he was that high.
Really?
Yeah.
He is enjoying the warm weather in California right now.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
he'll be back middle of March. And then he'll be cutting a rug over the fake one. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So do you?
This one for you too.
To,
I'm so glad you did that.
or, no,
I'll do
Okay, good.
it.
so Keith is gonna send that referral over to the mayor.
Okay, great. I will wait bated breath. Thank you so much.
So do you have to go? You mentioned that.
I do. Unfortunately, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and Judge Goldstein in Gardner is opening up a new section of the court, and today is actually the gala in Leominster at 4:30. So
Great.
if you would be so kind, I would love to head over there.
Yeah.
So thank you
Well
very
said.
much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, Chris.
Very nice to meet you.
Let us know if you run into any snags on the way with your appointment.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's like next.
Okay.
will. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
He's had his resume.
Keith, do you have his resume?
I'll
His
raise.
contact information?
I don't, I can,
Do you have like your, you know, Ellen?
Resume. You have a resume?
I do. I don't.
No, you
I'd be
can
happy to give it to whomever.
either, if you have my email, or send it through Don, and
What?
Just so we have your information.
Of course. And I just ran out of cards, so I will follow
okay,
sometime very soon.
all right,
Thank you.
all right, Chris. Okay, moving on in our agenda. I don't know if I can get it to show up or not here, so.
Update on Monument Park repairs.
Update on Monument Park repairs. I don't have anything. I'm not sure if any other members of the commission have any updates on that. Last time we talked about the initiative to replace the park benches. I haven't heard any new information on that as far as sponsorship. And the major issue of the railings, I don't have an update on that yet. I haven't got any feedback from.
What was the gentleman's name at Erickson?
Yeah, Nick, is it
Nick Erickson.
Nick Erickson is the Public Works Commission.
Public Works.
Public Works.
Yeah.
Maybe we can reach out to him.
We could ask him to come to the next meeting.
We can do that. All I want,
And James,
all I would like to ask him is if he can reach out to whoever it was that he had in mind to get us an estimate on repairing the railings.
Yep.
There should be no reason for that to be taking months and months and months to.
Well, it also, it also has to get paid for.
Well, no, but we need the estimate first.
Yeah.
And then we can put it in for hopefully like a CD
Gee,
grant.
Right, other funding types.
Or other fundings, yeah. So,
Okay,
I also want to ask about the dogs not allowed sign that they agreed to take down.
the
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
that was the parks.
that was, that was the Parks, the Department of Public Works? Or no, Parks Department.
Parks Department,
I didn't hear you, Don.
Oh, the dogs not allowed sign at Monument Park there too.
Oh,
And they agreed, that they would be taken down, but they're still up.
Yeah.
So I could go with a wrench and take them down myself, but
What was that gentleman's name who's in charge of that?
James Bono, no.
James Bonnell. Maybe we could reach out to him about that.
Yeah.
And also regarding the park benches, Andy had sent a photo in our email
Yeah.
of the old benches that were removed a couple of years ago. And it got me thinking that if we don't get any bites on the park bench donations,
Mhm.
to maybe visit the idea of replacing the old ones back again.
True. If they haven't been repurposed somewhere.
Yeah, if they haven't been thrown away or whatever.
Yes,
Because the bushes have been removed. The reason that there was the issues in the first place was the obstruction of the view into the park.
no, it was because,
But the activities that were going on wouldn't be going on with those bushes now removed.
right.
So I was just saying maybe we can put them back if we can't get any donations on the new benches. Or I don't know.
Yeah, it would be, as, looking at our official jurisdiction, if you will, over it, as being part of the Monument Park Local Historic District, our role as design review is our goal. Ideally, with that in mind, I would prefer the type of park benches that are in the upper common as kind of our first choice design review, in that they're more, they're cast iron, and kind of more reflective of the design period. This is my personal opinion anyhow. For the park benches, as park benches are put back in.
I agree
Yeah.
with you on that.
I think our role of whether there are benches in there or if you can take dogs in there or not are not really in our jurisdiction.
the design of the benches,
But if benches are being put back in, and I think we personally, not as a commission saying there has to be benches in the park, there weren't originally benches in the park. But as benches go back in, it would be nice to have a design of benches that reflects the quality of design of the rest of the park accoutrements, et cetera. So just so we're not kind of stepping out, the Parks Department probably has more say whether there should be benches in there or not, as their public responsibility for parks. And ours is really just a design overview and kind of stops there. Although we're advocating for certainly the repair of the deteriorated fencing along the outside, which is original or nearly original with the design of the Monument Park. And as part of our charter in 1975 or whatever, as being part of the existing structure then. So I'm just clarifying. And
Yeah.
I think our personal wishes, are there benches in there or not, are kind of beyond our purview.
Well, I just thought that they
Yep.
came to us,
Yes.
the former mayor and the police chief.
Yep.
And the Department of Public Work representative came to us
Exactly.
to discuss the removal of them and the replacement of them. It's like they needed to consult with us about
Yep.
Because it's in it's in the Monument Park Historic District. So I feel like we have something that we could, some input on it.
Indeed, and as, you know, I'm just saying those things kind of aside, but yes, definitely following up on it. And kind of the quality of those things that are happening is our purview, and I would go for the higher quality.
Yeah, no, my concern is that there was no bites on any
Yeah.
donations
Right.
for the benches. So if that never materializes, I just don't want to see there never be benches in the park. So I'm looking for other options, maybe
True,
with other
and,
funding.
and we were involved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe that there's community block grant funding in the future if we don't ever get any donations on the benches.
Right.
One of our former members, Steve Twining, just
Got funding
just
for
yesterday, the other day, Susan Navari gave me a picture of Steve and myself. And when the Clara Barton stone, I guess you'd call it, was up in the front of what was the Academy Street School, which is part of the New Views project. And Steve contacted me and said, you know, what's this little stone? So we got talking and so forth, and he took it upon himself to really get people involved and arrange to move it to Monument Park. And as a matter of fact, there was a lovely event the day, you know, that it was unveiled. Right. And I'm just thinking about him when you're talking about that, Charles, because we, the first study committee that was required before the city could have a historic commission. Frank Garrison was the senior planner at that time in the city, and he chaired the Fitchburg Historic Study Committee. And not only did they do everything they had to do in order to, you know, qualify Fitchburg to have a legitimate historic commission, they did the work to establish the first, what do you call it? The original historic.
Local historic.
The local historic district, and it got approved, and that was all done with this group of volunteers who wanted to work on establishing the fact that Fitchburg had history.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was, yeah, okay.
Definitely, and that particular section of Monument Park, the brick pavers,
Yes,
that
that's right.
have dedication inscriptions on them
Mhm.
in the front of that, which is on the
Left
on
side.
Main Street on the
Oh,
left-hand
yeah.
side by the fencing along the walkway. The dedication pavers could use a little bit of repair and resetting with a better base on those, which would be great to have that on. And we've talked to the Works department on that also briefly. So perhaps having maybe putting it on, see if we can have Mr. Erickson or Mr. Bennell, or both of them, perhaps join us at a future meeting might be
That's good. Good.
a good way of addressing those things.
Yeah.
And does that seem?
Yes.
And maybe, you know, just to get some priority on it and see if we can get some more answers on it.
And they'd also know that they have people that would support their effort too.
Yeah. Okay,
And we could talk to them more about getting an estimate for the railings.
exactly. So kind of those particular issues, but we talked to them before just to get a progress report on it.
And on my way over here, I was walking by the park and the stairs on the Main Street side are just even worse. They're like this.
The stones.
The steps.
Yes.
The granite
the steps.
steps really need to be redone.
Okay. So it as a possible action plan, invite them to perhaps next month's meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
Who invites them? Ellen or you?
I'll reach out to them. I'll copy everybody with them. We'll reach to, so.
Well, thank you, Keith.
Okay, this has been on the agenda forever, and I appreciate your.
I'm gonna stay on this
You're-
commission until the Monument Park railings get restored, and then I'm gonna retire.
We'll have you for a long time.
You'll be on the commission a long time.
Yeah, I'm actually up. Well, anyway, yeah,
Okay, and you're gonna re-up.
yeah.
Good. Thank you. It's good discussion. Update on appreciation preservation.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
it's nice to hear you today.
Number 8, update and appreciation of preservation, historic stone walls and structures.
Did we skip
Oh, you
over?
skipped over 7.
Skipped over the.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, yep.
The building
Right now,
demolition
road on
delay.
top of it. Okay, let me bring the agenda back up here so everybody.
I think Don sent us an updated
Yes,
email with the updated language.
Yeah, and when Joe said that they were turned down for a cultural district, what was it 2013? It reminded me of our debacle when we proposed.
It was probably around the same time.
Right around the same time. And so in the meantime, I've been doing a little research on other demolition delay ordinances, how many towns, municipalities in Massachusetts have demolition delay ordinances. And I reached out to some of those places like Leominster, and they said it's working fine. They have no problem there. Working with the city on it. The Springfield one I found particularly helpful because, among other things, it gives the homeowner the potential for asking for a waiver. That is, if it's decided in the process that a property may need to be looked at in this 9 months process, the homeowner can ask for a waiver on that, providing the reasons why they don't think it needs to do that. And I thought that was a good idea. So homeowners don't feel that they're some kind of, they're forced into this process without any recourse. Now, the waiver can be accepted or it can be turned down. If it's turned down, then the 9 month process kicks in. But at each point, there are fail safe, is that the right word? Where the buildings commissioner or the city can decide, well, if a structure is a safety and it really needs to be torn down, emergency, then that overrules this 9 month process. The whole purpose of the 9 month process is to look at alternatives to tearing down a building or fundamentally demolishing a significant part of a building. Because, for one thing, it may be cheaper not to demolish it. It may be cheaper if the building owner hasn't looked into those alternatives or is unaware of them. this is a means by letting the building owner know
Mhm.
that there are alternatives to demolishing, which can be very expensive. You know, it's you know, there's a kind of often a knee-jerk reaction to something. Oh, it's an old building, tear it down.
Mhm.
Well, let's think about cheaper alternatives. Let's think about the historical integrity of the city that we're trying to preserve, especially the downtown area. This area in many European cities would be called the old town, which has special rules applied to it in contrast, in distinction from the new town. So Edinburgh, for example, has an old town. Warsaw has an old town. Krakow has an old town. So, and the point is that these areas become attractive for the arts, for culture. They become attractive for businesses wanting to relocate here, and they become attractive for people who want to live here because it's beautiful. It's lovely downtown Fitchburg. Those words don't often go together in the same phrase, but if you just walk down Main Street looking at the buildings, you help but see the potential. Keith knows, he's an architect. You see the potential here, and the potential could go one of two ways. It could go for preservation, economic revival, more businesses, more residents, tourists coming in, or it could go the other way. Tear it down and create a kind of wasteland.
Well, you know, I don't know if I've ever said this to all of you. In addition to all the reasons that we care very much about preservation, I think it would, if it was fully understood, perhaps, it would develop a sense of pride.
Yes.
Yeah, we need that.
We need it. We definitely need that because as we know, back in 1950s, 1960s, Fitchburg was the go-to place.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
the cultural center of North Central Massachusetts. That's where people went on Friday nights and Saturdays. Not just Friday nights, but
Right.
and now you tell people you're from Fitchburg and they kind of grimace. What happened? What happened since the 1950s, 1960s to today?
I've asked myself that 1,000 times. But also yesterday, we were discussing Rodney Wallace's name came up, and I think I shared this on Tuesday. Rodney Wallace lived at the top of Main Street in the brick house, you know, on the opposite, I mean, on the right side of the Unitarian Church, the Upper Common. So I have this, I used to be involved in old-fashioned bargain days and things. We're always trying to come up with ideas. And at one time I thought it would be wonderful if someone would imitate Rodney Wallace and step down onto the street and start walking down the area that's, you know, the Upper Common. Now, years and years ago, the Upper Common actually had a bandstand, and somebody was kind enough to send me an old postcard showing it. I'll tell you the rest of the story another time. So he's walking down. He was a member of the Rosestone Congregational Church. His office building was next door and it was stunning. the Sentinel Building. It was, everybody in town called it the Sentinel Building because they actually use a good part of the building. And walking further down Main Street, he gave the city the first library. And he also was responsible for the set of the staircase that I adore from Pritchard Street to Academy Street in front of the high school. And so I'm saying this to you because the city was fortunate. It was, long before I arrived, but there were people who, I think of Rodney Wallace as a visionary. Well, what should be on Main Street? I don't know if that was his thought, but in my thought it was that, one day the library was built and he was standing talking to somebody and looking up Wallace Avenue, which is named after him, and saw the opportunity for the staircase. And the most important part of this little story is that Henry Francis designed most of these buildings. And I found out that he also had his architectural office in the Sentinel Building, or the Wallace Building.
Right.
And there are remnants of the Wallace Building. I went to a public hearing when the Sentinel announced that they were going to tear down the building. And this can't happen. This is before I discovered preservation. And I went to a meeting and I spoke about my disappointment or whatever. And after the meeting, the publisher at the time approached me and said he would like to meet with me. I mean, they weren't going to change their plans. And we did meet, and he said, perhaps you'd like something from the building. He said, it's not for me. I said, it's the building and what it stands for and its relationship to Rodney Wallace and all that. So he said, well, think about it. So I did, and I parked the car and sat across from it and kept looking at it. And the more I looked at it, the sadder I was. But anyway, he called me to follow up, and he said, have you come up with something, Ellen? And I said, yes. Would it be possible to preserve the entranceway? You probably all know this.
Yes.
And those stones are still waiting to be
They were
removed.
gonna move those.
Oh, they've been moved a couple of times.
But I mean, from where they were on Boulder Drive, they were supposed to get.
Not yet, please God.
It hasn't come to fruition yet.
No, they're still there.
So the problem that we faced before in getting the demolition delay ordinance approved by city council, and what we seem to encounter in talking with select city officials is, well, I don't know what this demolition delay ordinance is, but I don't like it. Because, and then they'll raise issues that are covered because they haven't read it, and the Ellen had an excellent idea. Let's get a PowerPoint presentation of the buildings that have been torn down, like the old train station, like Lucy Helen Hospital, and say, look, this we I don't know if we want to contrast with what's there now, but we want to get the point across that if there had been a demolition delay ordinance, maybe these landmarks would have been preserved. The Lucy Helen Hospital is particularly important because, as you mentioned, you were born there. But that not just you.
No.
thousands of residents of Fitchburg were born there. And then it's gone. It's part of their identity. They've ripped out the identity of they can no longer point to, this is the place I was born.
You know, speaking of Lucy Helen, I don't know who the group was, but every spring, a group of women had a little fair outside, you know, and probably the Women's Club or somebody like some group like that. And, you know, I used to go, I loved things like that. And, you know, I used to say to myself, I wonder where I was born in that hospital.
Yes.
You know, and I'll just add one. I apologize for taking your time, but when we were meeting, I thought about the story about the Lucy Helen Hospital, but my father had to be called to let him know, you know, that I had arrived, and he was at a meeting at City Hall. I don't know how they reached him. We didn't have cell phones. I don't know, but to let him know that his first child was born up the street.
There's a connection.
So the Don Lasso, who does the website for Historical Society, do you think he would have access to photos of the older buildings, the buildings that have been torn down?
Yeah, most likely.
Yep.
Well, there's quite a bit of them are stored in the database at the society.
Mhm.
You know, there's a big collection of these glass negatives that the early photographers were taking of the city buildings.
All right, well, let's
You know, that's
coordinate on that.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm looking to coordinate on.
Great,
Get those grouped together.
okay. Sounds good.
Part of our May Preservation Month
Yes,
project.
that's great.
Or you know what? Do you remember? And then have the pictures, you know, somebody goes to our website and you could have something about, do you remember? And then have a series of pictures of the old building.
Yeah, but even newer residents, like, you know, I was talking with a woman on the commuter rail.
Uh-huh.
She and her husband moved to Fitchburg about 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. So she had no memory of the old train station. And almost out of the blue, she said, I was just.
Oh, the Low House.
Yes.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
Oh, Charles, the Low House.
So that's an image of,
Oh,
Yeah, that's where the post office is now.
that's what the
Right.
post office.
and on the other side was the Lucy Helen Hospital.
Yeah, Keith, I wonder if anybody's done an analysis of why the post office looks the way it does architecturally.
All I know is that, you know, it was another, I'm not going to get into that. We needed a new post office.
It, you know,
And
there are probably many reasons of things, what are the alternatives, you know, discussing it at the time of, and I think I was talking with maybe Ellen the other day also about the word progress was used a lot during the 50s, 60s, and 70s of, you know, why we change things, when we take down train stations that were not in use anymore, or replacing buildings like this. And these are things that our commission is trying to understand. And through things like, you know, what we're talking about now is a demolition delay. If in a situation like this, where there's an existing building, perhaps, you know, it outgrown its use as a hospital and Burbank Hospital and all the things were really kind of founded upon, you know, the need or expanding needs of nursing and better care facilities. And when these things happen, having a kind of a stronger discussion to be able to happen at that time, so that there is not just a single-sided vision of progress, and kind of understanding the richness of heritage that our community will be, on the one hand, losing, as you were aware of, as buildings were being torn down, and being able to have that discussion. So just to kind of give a broader context, seeing beautiful buildings like this and being able to have another voice in the discussion of when things are going to be erased a bit from our cultural heritage, if you will. As these things become part of everyone's heritage in a way, although it's under some sort of private ownership, and certainly all properties in the city, and as was the hospital and the hospital corporation or whatever it was at the time, had made decisions of vacating it. And obviously the post office needed larger facilities. The population had grown, mail delivery, et cetera, was not being met.
Not enough parking.
Not enough parking. Not enough room for the mail trucks or the sorting rooms or whatever the standards for post offices were at that time. And the discussion became up, where is the property available? Should it be downtown or should it be out on Gold Star or John Fitch Highway? Should it be downtown or not? And what gives? And with the demolition delay, it allows the cultural side of that to be to have a seat at the table where these discussions are being made, and being able to make the taking time through a period of time of discussion, which we, through state legislation in each community, can create a demolition delay ordinance so that we can have this moment of discussion of what are the options? Could the building be moved? Could it be salvaged? Could it be, are there other locations for the post office? Could this be incorporated into the postal, issues, et cetera, or the property? Could the post office work around this particular property and still allow this to be part of the visual and cultural heritage of our downtown? So it's a good example. And how those things turn out, the state's ordinance allows demolition delay ordinances to be created by communities such as Fitchburg and Leominster, that has it. Many surrounding towns and cities have a demolition delay. And it allows that discussion to happen for a brief period in the life of a building or a post office building that's been there for 50 years now or something, probably. So we're just asking for 9 months, 12-month delay to allow this discussion and thoughts to be heard. So I think I think what you've done in your revision are good. I've got a couple things I'll pass on to you, that just a couple additions or pieces to it, and maybe a possibility. We talked about May being Preservation Month and having some sub-activities besides kind of the final presentation day, that maybe having kind of a public forum, if you will, maybe a FATV program that's kind of talking about what demolition delays are, or not. And if we're not ready to kind of make an opening on it, but it might be with the focus on preservation and the importance of preservation. Maybe that's something we can add to that month's agenda in besides just our meetings here. It is being able to have more of kind of a public discussion on it too.
By the way, the last occupant of the Low House was the school department. And I decided when I was a junior that I wanted to get a job in the summertime. And I was told I couldn't because I wasn't 16. And so, I don't know, somebody told me that I could go to the school department and get a work permit so I could go and apply for a job. And that's where I went. And it was quite a number of years after that was torn down. But I was, just thrilled to be inside. But that's where the school department was.
Yeah. This is a great example. A lot of buildings in Fitchburg still exist with a roof line like this, maybe not quite as elaborate. This is an architectural period called the Second Empire period.
Is that what it is? Because I know the mansard roof.
Yeah.
Then the other features, I'm not sure I recognize.
Yeah, and certainly lots of other decorative pieces. The porch here is wonderful with lots of additional detailing. The side carriage drop-off spots, so you wouldn't be out in the snow or rain. Porte cochere, I think it's.
What was it called?
Porte cochere.
Oh, okay.
It's from France. But the Second Empire refers to, I think, the Napoleonic Second Empire. And in the historic areas of Paris, this mansard roof piece, a little bit of history that I'll try to paraphrase here, is that there were zoning ordinances of how high you could make your buildings for various reasons in Paris at the time. And all buildings had roofs on them and so forth. So you didn't count the top story because that was the attic story. And it was usually, if it was a little pediment or something, it was very limited volume in the outside. So creative builders got so that they could actually make it very steep pitches. So it was a double pitch roof, so that the upstairs rooms in that attic area became a lot larger, almost 90% of the size or 99% of the size of the floors below, with its dormers, and a second roof with much lower pitch on the top of it. So mansard is a French term, and that, along with many other styles, were
That's so
imported from
interesting.
Europe. And we in America love the architecture of Europe, or at least the American colonists and our ancestors did. And so we repeated these things. We saw them, and our people were traveling by steam vessels and so forth to Europe a lot more then. So by the 1850s, this started to be a period of replicating kind of the building architecture of Paris in particular. And they're all over Fitchburg. You'll see the mansard roof buildings. This is a super elegant one, but many of these still exist, certainly in the Highland Street area, in South Fitchburg, and I believe in Cleghorn, et cetera. Many three-deckers were done as mansard roof buildings also, very stylish and very nice looking. So things to learn of our heritage, and as we start posting some of the history of these things, I think a good piece to that. And something I'd say, it would be nice to, along in our city website, if we could have, there's a lot of documentation of architectural styles, and as homeowners or property owners can look at our buildings here in Fitchburg, being able to identify the style of the building that their own house or their apartment building was designed as, and some of the heritage of the time and kind of the backstories of how
that would be wonderful.
made is, we start understanding what the people were like that what that built and designed the houses or buildings and were like, and the more we kind of appreciate the decisions they made at those times, and the more we kind of understand our buildings and why they look like they do. So that's kind of an offshoot a little bit, but
No, but a very important offshoot.
yeah, some fun things. So these are some of the comments I had on.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Your most recent draft.
Yes.
And let me know if you have any thoughts on those. And if we kind of two things, we want to maybe post a draft of that on our website so we can get public feedback, possibly.
Yes, and at what point do we want to send it to council members?
Kind of my thought is we're working through the May events and kind of building up the importance in a public domain. I know Mayor Squally is very interested in the Preservation Month activities that we're talking about, or I believe she is. And I think also City Council should be kind of informed of this month's activities and kind of the importance of preservation. My thought is that as we kind of go through our May events and kind of highlighting the importance to the city, including city council members, that this could be shortly thereafter. Kind of awareness of what the commission is and awareness of the city's heritage, kind of pushing that, and at that time,
But when is
introducing it to council by individual councilors, your own ward councilors and councilors at large, talking with them, and perhaps the council chair and
well, the president would be happy to come.
and so it's not just thrown at them kind of a blind side, but it's a discussion before and input from them also, obviously, to understand what it is in a good educational piece. So we're looking at education, particularly in the next couple of months, and kind of integrating with that. And my thought, anyhow, is kind of a follow-up to the month of May, and be a good time to kind of work on that.
May I just see that flyer? I'd be glad to go to this.
I have to leave. I have an appointment in an hour.
The,
Five more minutes.
the March 7th, they're probably kicking off First Thursdays again. It's Thursday, March 7th,
It's a week from today.
and it's at the YMCA. And it's called the Community Club Expo, and I had not heard anything about it, so
It just came out a couple of days ago. I think it had been organized by the Cultural Alliance, perhaps, and it's just kind of a get together. It's an adult program at the YMCA, essentially saying that here are a collection of organizations in the city that you as other citizens might be interested in being involved with.
Oh, the Fitchburg Creative City Partnership.
Yes. And
That's a good lead in.
Joe
to
is
start.
obviously very involved in
Yes, he
helping
is.
setting this up.
Yeah. And we just moved, the Alliance just moved to the former
Bank.
Fidelity Bank building
Yep.
at the corner.
I can see
And I'm not
The
sure if
brick.
we're open every day, but
No.
um,
Anybody else be interested in reserving a table? You kind of have to respond by email to the organizers to say, yes, we'd like a table. And then we could see about getting, like a blow up of the map of the historic districts and maybe a sample of the brochure and historic marker program, some, couple printouts of the, we have any copies of that brochure still?
Actually have some with me tonight. You want them?
Okay.
About 50 shares left.
Okay, wonderful. So maybe some of those could be taken to that also, just from, if it's a table, just, the historical commission,
Yeah.
kind of a brief description of what it is. Here's some of the things that we've been working on, demolition delay, preservation month, recognizing our building heritage, monument park, things like that.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Great, thank you, Charles.
Anybody want to come?
We still have a quorum, so we're
Okay.
for you.
I think any of those letters are for historical authors.
One of them is,
Is it?
yeah.
Which house?
Atlantic, 21 Atlantic Ave.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know which particular house that is, but they're all nice on that street.
Yes,
so.
up off of Summer Street.
All right, and we got everything worked out with the sign makers.
Yes.
They figured out.
Yep.
everything.
Kind of jump before you leave, in the question on signs, we have one application that's just gone into the sign maker, and I think I mentioned it before. It's up in what was called Rockville on Westminster Hill Road, an older 1850s farmhouse.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's going in.
So the new
And-
signs look pretty similar to the old ones that we had.
Yes, yeah.
Can't really tell there's a difference.
I don't believe so. They're the quality is looking good.
Good.
There's one on the Drury Building on the corner of Blossom and Main Street. So if you want to
We'll
take a
go
look
check
at
that
it.
out.
Yeah.
All right, so I have to leave early.
Okay, thanks for coming, Phil.
That's fine. Thank you.
See you, Charles.
Nice to see you,
Bye.
Charles. Bye-bye. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Are these the brochures you're going to bring?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So, any other volunteers for next Thursday?
Well, I kind of,
Kind of? Okay.
Did you want to come too?
I don't think I can make that one,
Okay.
but I can give you, I had extra brochures.
Oh, good. All right, Don, why
Brings it.
don't you take them, Don? We can display those.
okay. I better give them to you. because-
Oh, okay. All right.
You're not sure? Yeah, I'm not
I'll
sure.
call you if you don't mind, if I need a ride.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I don't think I can make it, so if you guys could work that out.
Mhm.
And it would be good just to kind of cross-pollinate with all the other
Oh, sure.
organizations and the tables there. So that's part of the participation, a good piece of it.
Is this yours, Keith?
You can have that
Oh, okay.
since you're going there. It has the contact information.
Yeah.
I will let them know. I will I'll email that. You'll be having a table there,
Okay.
or we will be having a
Yep.
table there.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the updated demolition delay ordinance? Don, it's hand up. Okay, moving on to item number 8. We can write one now. Update on appreciation and preservation of historic stone walls and structures.
No update.
Okay. Just kind of a side piece on that. There was an application that came through for endorsement of an application for funding assistance for completion of phase 2 or an ongoing work for the Rock Walk, which is, starts
Peters?
yeah, at Pete Daglio,
Mhm.
Capadaglio.
Yeah.
The Rock Walk, as many people know, starts at the boulder at the head of the common. And there are marking posts of kind of mark the trail as they go up Rollstone Street and on up, cutting across through some of the neighborhoods there up to the Rollstone Quarry site.
Does it go up that street that we went up, you know,
Yeah, that goes up Rollstone Street, and then it takes a right turn up through the neighborhood there.
oh, okay.
And there's a parking area at the top, kind of a dead end of one of those streets. And then
Oh, I know. Yeah.
the application was, and I sent an endorsement from the Historical Commission saying we help back this, or we would endorse it for funding, is completion of that trail from the parking lot on up to the actual quarry space, making it more navigable and signage for that section. And I believe for other parts of the trail also, they're looking for funding. So
is the city doing that, or is it Peter? Is the city doing that, or is Peter doing
it? Peter was doing it as kind of heading up the Rock Walk piece with endorsements from various city agencies, and it's for. I believe it is a state funding agency that helps for projects like that. So they asked the Historical Commission if we would endorse it also.
Oh, that's one thing.
The importance of the heritage of the quarry, and which ties in a little bit with the historic stone walls and structures on our item here. So just a little side piece on our endorsement for that and the quarry walk. Number 9, coordination of signage for the Twin City Rail Trails. No specific update on that. We have some time to kind of finish the editing on those. I think after May, I think we'll start spending some time on that. So we'll keep it on the agenda for the next couple of months and get back to work on that, I think. Any questions on Rail Trail? And just talking with Joe on this again, this is something that perhaps should be bigger than just our input, and including other such as the Cultural Alliance and Council, sharing our thoughts and getting their input on that also would be kind of an outreach happening on that. Number 10, update on Historic Districts information brochure. We've gotten from our December, which was the latest draft of the graphics and the text of the brochure, we've gotten input back from several different sources. I'm compiling those edits into a list that we'll try to get back to the graphic designer. And if I think we have most of the edits together, and I'll try to see if I can get those back to our graphic designer at Fitchburg State, who's helping us with this, and try to get the final piece. I've also gotten some quotations for printing, and from I showed it to community development and economic development people at our May event meeting, and they were enthusiastic about it as being a great tool for the city to for marketing and showing real estate people, et cetera. That they were suggesting that I was thinking, well, we should get 500 printed and maybe a long shot, maybe 1,000. They said, no, let's get 2,000 or 5,000 of them printed up. So I've gotten a couple quotes, one from
Minute print?
Minuteman printers, and another one from another local national printing organization or outfit, stationery store, and also talking with Fitchburg State, where they have a print highly professional printing process there too. And perhaps, so we're kind of weighing what we can get done for the least amount of money and good quality. So I hope to have some updates on that shortly. For the higher number, 2,000, 5,000 copies of it.
Nice.
It could be a great piece for the city. So I think it's going to pay off. Historic marker update. I just mentioned we have a new application for a house on Atlantic Ave that we'll try to process right away. Commission number 12 on the agenda, commission membership vacancies. We had obviously with Chris being here today and being able to share his thoughts and interest in the commission. We have one additional vacancy. As we had mentioned before, it would be great to have someone from the local real estate industry. And
I asked someone today.
Yes, we have a lawyer.
And she said, no, she's too busy.
And I have one other person that was hoping to join us last month and wasn't able to. And I talked with them and they hope to be able to join us in our March meeting.
Great.
So some progress on those fronts. So
What was Chris's last name again?
Batinzi, B-A-T-I-N-S-E-Y.
S-E-Y.
Can you spell that a little louder?
Pardon me?
Could you spell that
Okay.
again?
B-A,
B,
B as in boy,
yep,
A, T as in Tom,
uh-huh,
I-N as in Nancy.
uh-huh.
S, what did I say? S-E-Y? Yes,
S-E-Y,
S-E-Y. Batinzi, yes.
Atensy,
Batinzi. I think he goes by Batinzi, not that.
Bansky.
And Chris is just C-H-R-I-S. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps.
Oh, B-A-T-I-N-S-E-Y,
Yes.
Bansky.
great.
You got emails?
I do, as a matter of fact,
Google his name.
either way.
Either way.
Fitchburg website additions, links to architectural styles, National Park Service preservation briefs, etc. Still on the agenda, along with a digital copy of the brochure and perhaps the H.M. Francis brochure. My suggested goal, and I will try to work on this as a project for me, is try to get that on the website by May also. And any progress or suggestions of the layout, et cetera, I'll share with everybody in the commission before I send that in.
Great.
Maybe we can discuss it more in April. New business, we talked about the Community Club Expo, which is next week, March 7th. And Ellen's going to help man the table. Don said he might be able to make it. So that's great. And I will follow up and email the organizer of it and let them know that we'll request a table.
And you want me to, let's see, I think I brought, maybe I didn't bring the samples. I should have the map from my brochure enlarged. You gave me a sample of it and I've got it at home.
Yeah, I can, let me see if I can get something printed up by then, maybe by Monday,
Okay,
when I'll see you for the May event
Mhm.
meeting. And any of you who want to join the 1 o'clock Monday meeting, that would be great to have you also. That's the planning for the May event with other city agency stuff. Okay, any other new business? Good, productive meeting. Next meeting is 3 p.m. Thursday, March 28th, 2024. That'll be in the West Meeting Room and not in council chambers in City Hall. Motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Seconds?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you all for coming, and hope to see you soon or in the March meeting.